Okay, so we can get started with our goal setting workshop. So if you turn to the materials I gave you, the very first thing we're going to be going over, it has this image on it. And this is just a very quick, very easy 10-point checklist that I run through quarterly, actually, but I want you guys to at least start adopting this annually. So if every year you pick a date on the calendar and you put it on your calendar and you're just going to go through these 10 bullet points quickly. Now I've gotten to the point where I can go through those every quarter really fast because I'm looking at them every 3 months. So the first thing you want to do is look at your social media brand or digital persona. And what I mean by that is, like, let's take me, for example. If you look at all of my marketing materials, my hair is this short, but coronavirus has happened. And now I have very long hair and I have to make a decision if I'm going to swap out my photography and my headshots. Am I going to make a change like that? Because I'll tell you, I don't exactly look like this anymore. I won't draw attention to the extra 20 pounds. I will just draw attention to the hairstyle change. But I'm sure some of y'all can commiserate with what COVID has done to our headshots. So I've got to make a decision. Am I going to cut my hair and go on a diet? Or am I going to change my photography? I got to get a new headshot. So when you look at my Facebook business page, my RVAR photo, on all the rosters I'm on, it's that old headshot. So I've got to make a decision now. I've been ignoring it for the last 6 months as to what I'm going to do, but now is my time to say, all right, Ashley, you got to figure out what you're doing. So look at all of your branding. And don't forget things like your voicemail and the autoresponder on your Facebook business page. There are so many ways that you are branded and reaching out to customers and clients that it would be helpful if every year you started making a list of all the places in which you have set up some sort of autoresponder, or even something as simple as if you've got an autoresponder on your email, so that every time you receive an email, it immediately auto responds and says, I'm out in the field with clients right now, but I'll be happy to get back to you ASAP. If you haven't looked at that in 10 years, it might be time to look and see what you set up all that time ago. Look at your signature on your email. Is that still applicable? Is that still what you want it to say? And then the second bullet point on this list is your CRM platform. It's a total pain to get started with a CRM platform, and that's a client relationship manager. So that's going to be a software platform that you're using to put every open house visitor, every past client, every current client, everyone that you knew from a different industry that you were in. You're going to put all of those folks, their name, their phone number, their email address, perhaps their mailing address. You're going to put all of them into this CRM platform. And there are dozens of those available. Even our MLS has a very rudimentary one built into the system. And if you have not started keeping those somewhere that is digital, I would recommend you at least get started on our MLS. There's a button called Contact Management, and it has a field for everything. There's a field for name, phone number. It has a notes section where you can keep notes. And most of the time, you already have a lot of your clients in there because you've been setting up saved searches for them and enrolling them in the subscription program that is checking the internet, checking the MLS every day, and emailing them if anything comes on the market. So really all you're having to do is go in there and flesh out the rest of those contact cards that are in the contact management tab. It's free. You're already paying for MLS. It doesn't have a lot of usability past emailing them or setting up a subscription for listings. So once they become a past client, you are keeping them in that system, which is better than not being able to put your fingertips on the contact information, but it really has minimal flexibility for doing things with that contact database after you've sold them a house. So I would recommend now is the time to go ahead and look into using a CRM platform. There's Agent Juggler, there's Constant Contact. There's a host of website providers that if you have a website, you should be checking with that vendor and finding out if they have a CRM piece that goes with that website. And if they do, go watch the video tutorials and figure out how to use it. So I use Constant Contact to email you guys. But I also use it to keep track of past clients. So I put all my past clients in there. I tag them with the year that they bought a house from me or sold their house with me. So there are tags for 2017, 2018, 2019. And what I can do then is when I'm ready to do pop buys, or I just finished mailing out a whole stack of Happy New Year cards, I can just print off the address list. So I print off the address list, I address them, I send out, a gift card to Mill Mountain Coffee and Tea or whatever with a Happy New Year card. It makes it very, very easy for me to do that because I put in the time already getting all of those addresses in and all of those names. And every year it's a challenge for me. Like right now, my 2020 people haven't gotten their New Year's card because I haven't sat down for an hour and keyed all of those people into Constant Contact and labeling them 2020. So 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, they've all gotten their card, and some of them have tagged me on Facebook thanking me for breakfast. Some have sent me a text message. One, as a matter of fact, was an agent at another firm, and she was on inactive status working another job several years ago when she hit the realtor.com button to get extra information on a house and got me. And because I pay for leads on realtor.com, and I sold her a house. So she's just in my database. So she emailed me a couple of weeks ago to thank me for the gift card and to wish me a Happy New Year as well. And then said, as a matter of fact, I was just thinking that I want to reactivate my license and get back into real estate this year. Could I come chat with you? So I might pick up another real estate agent in the process. That means I don't get to sell her more houses, but that's okay. So those little pop buys really do help. And the only way you're ever going to pull that off is if you've got all your contacts somewhere where you can access them easily and use it easily. In the fall this past year, y'all may have already heard me say this, but a past client, their kid was selling mums, the plants, mums at their school. And I bought 25 of them. Now that kid looked like a rock star at the fundraiser with, his poor parents had to bring 2 cars to pick up all the mums just for me, but they were thrilled. It supported the school. And then I made a cute little note card and tied it on with some highlighter orange yarn with my picture on it. And then I printed out the address list, and believe it or not, I paid my best friend to drive them all over town. She had a Saturday off. She loves doing that kind of stuff. I didn't have time. So I paid her $100 and she drove all over town and delivered 25, 30 mums for me and put them on everybody's doorstep that had bought a house with me in the last 2 years. That only happened because I had my contact list ready to go. So I know it can seem daunting to get started on that, but once you get it going, like right now, I just have like 15 still to put in there of past clients. I need to just sit down for an hour and type it all in. So use this as your annual reminder that really is important, and it really opens up a world of possibility for reaching out and saying hi to your past clients and making sure they're still, recommending you and giving you referrals. Anybody have any questions about any of that before I keep trudging on, lecturing to you? Anybody? Okay. So the third one is new tools available with your current tech. So I think this is a very underrated task that can have some really, really big impact. You already have your tech you're already using, MLS, your iPhone, your Android, Gmail. Every year, once a year, I go look on Gmail and I look in the extensions and I look to see what new extensions have been added. Is there something that I think would be useful to me? Same with Constant Contact. Because I use Constant Contact, I will once a year go look and see. I'll go watch on the Constant Contact website their little, hey, you want to buy our product video. Because a lot of times when I got started with a product, I knew what I wanted to use it for, and I implemented that part of the platform, but maybe I wasn't ready for every bell and whistle that that product had. And so I'm not aware that it's got a couple other things it can do. Like perhaps I don't even know the Constant Contact will let me multiple text people, you know, and text out to 50 people at a time or something. And I could say happy Thanksgiving to everybody in my database. Who knows? I don't know because I haven't gone to look. So this is my annual reminder to go look at the tech you're already using. Look and see if they've added any new features. And if they have, see if you think that they'd be useful to you, and then start implementing them. Even FlexMLS will have updates and new features that get released. If you have not toyed around with the CRS tax data button yet on MLS, do it. It is so cool. It is a little bit creepy, but it is so cool. And what it is RVAR has paid for us. They have absorbed the cost of this feature. And it is an all-in-one glimpse at essentially most of the public records available on that property. So if I'm looking at a property on the MLS, I can click the CRS tax data button, and it's going to take me to a page where it's got the white pages link. It has the tax record information. It has mortgage information. So if I'm getting ready to make an offer on a house with my buyer and I look and I see that they had done a refinance, the seller had done a refinance 2 years ago, and I can see the mortgage amount, I may be realizing that they may not be able to sell as cheap as we're wanting to buy the house. You know, obviously that's not in this market, but all of these refinances in the next 5 years, as we're selling houses and we're helping our buyers acquire housing, we're going to have to be looking at that because a lot of refinances happened this year. Those people are going to want to sell their house in the next 3 to 5 years, and they may find that they don't have enough equity to walk away with anything when they go to sell their house. Now, I still think they should have done it because the interest rates are so low. I did a refinance. So if I went to sell my house, I didn't cash out. I just went for a lower interest rate. But there are a lot of folks who cashed out, and they cashed out their equity and they got a lower interest rate. And we're going to be able to look on CRS tax data to look at that mortgage history when we go to make an offer on their house when it comes on the market. Okay. Let's see, new tools available with your current tech. Really, I do recommend any tech you're using often, go to their website as if you were a new customer and look at all of the videos that they have available trying to convince you to buy their product. This may go the same for DocuSign. If you're using AuthentiSign, eSign, DocuSign, go watch their, enticement video that's trying to get you to buy their product. You may find out that there are features that you have no idea even exist, and you can start using those. All right, 4 on the list, your canned emails and autoresponders. So, like many of you, I have a draft folder in my email account, and I have probably 20 draft emails in there. These are emails that I type all the time. So I have one titled, "It's time for inspections." And that's an email that is already dummied up, and I can just click in the extra info and send it to my buyers right after we go ratified. Okay. I have, a draft email about it's time to consider switching utilities. And I send that out 1 week prior to closing. And it has a list of utilities on there that I can edit from according to where I can customize it to the property address. So these are all draft emails that, again, just like making sure your contacts are in your database, have these draft emails ready to go. Now, those emails have changed over the years. They, like anything, they're longer now than they used to be because I just keep adding things to them. But all of those are points of value that I'm trying to bring to my buyer or my seller. So when I sit down and actually work on them, once a year, I go through them and I make sure those draft emails say what I want them to say. And if there's something outdated, I'll take that out. Or if there's something I think maybe I could have said better, or something that I noticed was creating some confusion and I need to be a little more clear in that draft email, I'm going to tighten up that language and make it say what I want it to say. So once a year, go through your canned emails, your draft messages, all of your autoresponders. That's on your Facebook business page, Instagram, your autoresponder with your email, your autoresponder that you have for a vacation setting. I know you probably have not used that in a year, but if you've got an autoresponder that you're using for when you're on vacation, go ahead and take a look at what that language says. You may be surprised. It may have your last firm business name on there. How often do we check those things? I can't tell you how many times I call a new agent who's transferred to us, 2 months later, and it goes to voicemail and their old firm name is on there. Now, listen, I don't have an ego, so that doesn't hurt my feelings, but I bet it is creating some confusion in your world that you don't even know about. So this is a reminder just to go ahead and check everything, okay? 5, your outgoing voicemail message. Guilty. My outgoing voicemail message on my cell phone is about 9 years old. It took me about 37 tries to get it right without laughing or stumbling over my words. So I really don't relish the thought of updating that. However, I'm at least going to listen to it once a year and run it through the filter of, does that still work for me? Do I still like that? Does that still sound like me? Is that still what I want to be saying? And so just once a year, go through that as well and check out your outgoing voicemail message. 6, new tech available. See if there is any new software programs. Almost everything is going to give you a 30-day trial. About once every 2 years, I go on Smartsheet and start a 30-day trial and tell myself, you're going to start using Smartsheet, which is a place where you can make all sorts of spreadsheets. And there are a lot of spreadsheets already made for you and people crowdsource them and share them. So last night I started a new 30-day trial. They're getting a little snarky with me because when I signed up for it, the email said, we'll reactivate a new 30-day trial for you. And that's their way of saying, we know you keep trying us out for 30 days and you never actually subscribe. But 30 days is not enough time for me to have time to sit down and mess around with something, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to go through it this 30 days and see if that's something that I think would be useful. So check out new tech, maybe a transaction management app, maybe some to-do list apps, maybe just a new journal. Maybe you don't like the journal you've been using or the day timer you've been using. Go ahead and just say, I'm going to spend 30 minutes and I'm going to get on the internet and I'm just going to mess around and see what I can find because this, that, or the other isn't working for me. 7, your business cards, your yard signs, your flyers, other printed material. I know we haven't been using flyers in years because we haven't needed to because houses are selling in 1 hour. But what better time to go ahead and rehash your flyers, get them the way you want them to be, and then have them ready to roll out when our market softens up and we're having to do flyers again. So go ahead and look at your business cards. I'll tell you, the best thing I've ever done is I get on Vistaprint and I create stuff I want, okay? And I'll show you some examples. I create happy house anniversary cards with my branding all over it, okay? I have a New Year's card similar to this. I have a thank you card similar to this. I create all of that on Vistaprint, not when I need it. I create it when I have a minute. And then as soon as they send me an email that says 1 day only, 60% off everything, I jump on there. It's already in my portfolio and I go ahead and order it. And then I'm able to take advantage of the 60% off sale and not stay up until 11:59 p.m. trying to create what I want before the coupon expires. So I famously spent a lot of time doing it that way until I realized I really should just create everything and leave it sitting in my portfolio. And that's what I do now. I actually will make a photo book for a seller client. So I'll take the professional photos from the photo shoot, and within a couple of days of getting those photos, I'm going to go on Vistaprint and I'm going to upload all of those photos and I'm going to put them into a photo book platform on Vistaprint. And then it just sits there. It sits in my portfolio until sometime in the next 30, 60 days, I get a 1-day only sale email about them having a 50% off sale or a 60% off sale, sometimes a 70% off sale. And I'll get those photo books for, $20. And they are a really nice gift for your seller after they've moved, because in those photos, their house has never looked better, And so especially if they have children, it's a nice gift because the kids get to see their bedroom from when they were little. They get to see, the playroom, and it's been a very big hit for me. And I put that in the thank you basket when I thank my seller after it closes. Sorry, sending a quick text message for something I forgot to do. Next, any advertising you currently use. Do you have an ad in, say, the middle school yearbook? Do you have an ad in your baseball team's, program? Do you have advertising anywhere that you need to maybe freshen up, take a look at, change the message? Go ahead and use your annual time that you're looking at everything and go ahead and freshen up that. Go ahead and get it ready to go so that when that adorable little cheerleader from middle school calls and says, hey, can we count on you to still do that ad? You can say, yep, and I've got a new ad. May I send it on over? Okay. All right. Evaluate your need for new marketing avenues. Go ahead and take a look and see if there are any other areas you might want to start marketing in. If so, this is the time to take a critical eye. Look at all the marketing you're already doing and ask yourself if it's working. Is that bringing you any extra clients? Is that spreading name recognition? Is your branding working? And then evaluate if those items are bringing you a return on your investment or whether you need to pivot and put that money elsewhere. And then lastly, take a look at your physical tech devices. Is your phone driving you bonkers? If it is, I know how painful it is, but go ahead during a slow period, and normally this is a slow period, and go ahead and update your phone. It's, I'm going to tell you, your iPhone or your Android phone is the most important piece of tech you're going to own. You're going to work on it all day, every day, forever. It's how we make our money. When my kids were littler, they could not believe how expensive my phone was. And I kept saying, and their daddy would defend me and say, no, your mom needs the very best phone there is because that is how she makes our money. And it's correct. I don't believe in spending money for no reason. But your phone is one of the areas where you need to make sure you have something that functions. And I'll tell you, it never became more clear to me until we were on vacation and I needed to DocuSign a document from my phone from the middle of a mall. And I had not enough storage space on my phone that I had to uninstall DocuSign, install a PDF reader I needed, get the PDF, uninstall the PDF reader, and then reinstall DocuSign so that I could DocuSign it to someone. And I'm going to tell you what, with about 1 bar on my cell service, this was about 10 years ago, I thought that was the time I was going to quit real estate. So we came home and I finally bought a real phone, and bought a real phone that would have enough storage space to be able to do the things I need to do. God love my husband who, told me it was okay to spend that kind of money, because it is a tool. It's a business tool. All right. So just throw a hand up if you've got a question or something to add or something else you think should be on that list, because we're going to move on to some templates now, unless you guys have something to add. Okay, feel free. All right. So next I've got several, and I'm not going to go through these line by line, but the next 4 pages are some actual nitty gritty, like printable goal planning templates. So these templates, really, I want you to spend an hour filling these out. And I think, listen, we're all adults here. You know that when you log every piece of food that goes in your mouth, you are gobsmacked about what you're actually eating in a day. Obviously, journaling brings clarity to what we do. So I can't imagine anything more important than your business to be journaling about. So we're going to, even if you journal about nothing else in your life, we're going to do this because this is how we make our living. So we're going to fill out these goal sheets and we're going to spend an hour doing it. And you're going to actually be surprised by yourself, even if you've been doing this a long time, about what you're doing and not doing. And what you're going to find out is there are things in this job that make you uncomfortable. And there are things that feel good to do. It feels good to design social media posts. It feels good to craft draft emails. You know why? There's absolutely no confrontation involved in any of those. And it's all feel good stuff. But we also have to do the uncomfortable parts. We've got to look at our budget. We've got to look at our advertising budget. We've got to take a hard look at what all those Facebook boosted posts have actually cost us. Okay. And we've got to have some sort of design to what we're doing. If I have a $30 advertising budget for online advertising for my listing, I better explain to myself why I spent $80 because Facebook said, hey, you had 47 impressions on this. Would you like to boost this again for $10 more? And it's so easy to just click that button and boost it again. But I need to be having a record of what I've already spent. And maybe I need to be spending my money more wisely on that listing. Otherwise, you really can lose your shirt on these listings with advertising. Facebook understands it feels good to push buttons. So they have structured it in a way that we like to just keep pushing that button and spending $10 more, $10 more, $10 more until we get the bill. So go ahead and set out your goals, okay? And the point of these 4 pages is that we're not just setting our goals and leaving them. We're then going to break them down into little chunks that are attainable. So we've got to have the goal, but the goal is not what you're working towards. You're working towards every one of those little steps. That's a little chunk of activity that you need to do to get you to the goal. So on page 1, that's where we're going to do a lot of our logging. And then on page 2, that's the SMART goals worksheet. And it really wants you to be very lucid about really defining the actual act. What is the act I am going to do that's going to get me where I want to be? So fill those out, give those some thought. The next one is project goals and objectives. This is individual projects. You may have 10 of these sheets. You know, you may want to print out 10 and put Facebook marketing, open house advertising, farming a neighborhood. And you may have 10 for 10 different neighborhoods you want to farm. This can grow and become in a binder for you. You're able to keep each one of those farm areas as a project and keep refining those goals that you have for that neighborhood. And then we have our goal chart template. This is where you get to give yourself some gold stars when you actually meet your goals and meet each one of those little chunks of activities that it takes to get there. If you have any questions about these, I know we're kind of glossing over these, but I want you to understand what they are and how to use them. But I also want to make sure I get through all the materials because it's really, there's some cool stuff in here. Now, the next one is called the 60 Daily Points of Rhythm. This is one of my favorite forms. It looks like this. There's a big 60 on the bottom. This came from a VAR convention that Jennifer and I went to. And when we went to this VAR convention, there was a speaker there named Ashton Gustafson. He was a like 20-something-year-old realtor down in Texas. And he was talking about how he uses this 60 daily points of rhythm checklist to make sure he generates business. This is literally about generating referrals and extra business for yourself. So what he's trying to do with this is he's going to do this every week. And he's going to date it at the top. And he has created a point system for those little chunks of activities that will result in business for him. So he's trying to get to 60 points every single day. And you can see that he's working Monday through Friday on this activity. He is doing 60 points every single day. And you can see that 25 calls, for example, is 25 points. 25 emails is 25 points. 5 handwritten notes, maybe to past clients or someone you just happened to see out, or somebody you saw on Facebook that their kid won a baseball game. 5 handwritten notes, that's 5 points. Show at least 2 homes to 1 client. Now, in this market, good luck finding 2 homes to show to 1 client. So I'm gonna give you a free pass right now. And if you could show 1 home to 1 client, I'm proud of you. And you should give yourself 10 points. So offer written, 10 points. Listing signed and completed, 10 points. If you have a closing, that's 10 points. And if you have lunch with sphere of influence person, a client or a lead, that's 10 points. Every single day, y'all, every day. So you understand, you got to get moving 8 a.m., 9 a.m. at the least. And you are starting to crack away at this 60 point because you've got to fit 25 calls, 25 emails, some handwritten notes, a listing appointment, show a house. You can see that the items on this list are a good mix of sort of those feel good things like emails and note cards, but also some of the uncomfortable things, you know, showing houses, getting a listing signed, writing an offer. So I will warn you that if you look after a few weeks and you've been making your 60 points every day doing the feel good things like writing notes and writing emails, those are off your list for a couple of days, and you need to start working on things like showing houses and maybe making some house calls, walking around a neighborhood, making the phone calls. Okay. And when you make those phone calls, you need to be saying to yourself, I hope they answer. I hope they answer. Okay. Don't be saying, I hope it goes to voicemail. Okay. You want a live person on the phone that you can engage with. Same thing when you go door knocking. When you're knocking on the door, fake it till you make it. Say to yourself, I hope they're home. I hope they answer the door. I hope I have the occasion to chat with them. Okay. Because I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, I sincerely hope they don't answer the door. I hope they're not home. Erin has shared in the chat that she loves this. She's so competitive with herself. Good. Now you can keep score on yourself. And Walter has a question. Yes, sir, Walter. Or something to share.
I don't have a question. Did you say you're uncomfortable showing houses or writing listing agreements?
If you're a new agent, I'm sure. Now me, no, but
okay.
I'm a billion years. However,
you in the wrong business.
I'll tell you, I wrote my first offer, and I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. I mean, none. I didn't know what went in the slots. I didn't even know to put her. I mean, the poor woman's name was Deborah, and I put down Debbie on the contract. That's what I've known her whole life.
Debbie, my house.
And then her closing got pushed a week, and I was in Disney World when it closed. How professional did I feel? Not very, So some of those things are uncomfortable. What Walter makes a good point about is once you've done it a few times or you're born as Walter,
you better get comfortable or you ain't going to make no money.
Correct.
All right, I'm done. Bye-bye.
Okay, thanks. But he's right. You've got to do the things that make you uncomfortable. Mark Twain talked about eating the frog first. You have to do the hard thing first thing in the morning. Okay. Go knock on doors first thing in the morning. Make those phone calls first thing in the morning. Okay. Whatever the hard thing is for you, the thing that makes you go, I hope I make myself busy all day and never get to that. That's probably the thing that's going to make you money. So you need to go do it, and you need to go do it first thing before you chicken out. Okay. The good thing about eating the frog first is once you've eaten the frog, everything else is easy for the rest of the day, so you can just go on with your day, sort of lift it up a little bit that you got over and done with the hard part first. Okay. Okay, so that is the 60 daily points of rhythm. I love that one because anytime I'm feeling a little unproductive, or maybe I just haven't been a very good steward of my time for a week or two, and I know business is kind of slacking off. I mean, I get it. We get exhausted when we've got a lot going on. I really do understand that. That 60 daily points of rhythm for me helps me reboot. It helps me go back to the routine I know I need to be doing every day. And I have to do the routine. If I don't do the routine, I turn around and it's 6 p.m. and I don't know what in the world happened with the day. Okay. So I really do try every day to start my day with my to-do list, and I write down everything I'm going to do. And I really do try to go by that. Now, Donna and Jennifer will tell you that my life has looked a little nuts the last 11 months. And oftentimes there are 2 8-year-olds in tow with me coming in the door. And so my morning sometimes looks more like throwing pepperonis and a string cheese on a plate and taking it over into the old training room when I should be doing my to-do list. But that's all the more reason for me to lean on some of these tried and true techniques instead. So if I'm a little befuddled because I've been doing way more than any of us should be doing right now, I can just go back to the 60 daily points of rhythm and sort of reboot myself and refocus. Okay. All right. Some of you, most of you probably know of Lee Brown. If you don't, she is a character and a half. She is an agent down in North Carolina. No, South Carolina. And she is a second generation real estate agent who also is a speaker. She speaks at National Association of Realtors events, Virginia Association of Realtors events. She's a dynamo, but she also produces a lot of content that is free to us. She just is a helper. She likes to help people out. She's got several podcasts as well, which are pretty hilarious and pretty informative. One is called Crazy Blank in Real Estate. It's that S word I don't let any of my children say, but it's a great podcast. I mean, it's just wild and crazy stories from real estate. But she has her Kicktail session every year, and that is basically an annual goal setting workshop as well. So she made these next few pages available to anyone who wanted to enroll in her free Kicktail program. So I'm sharing them with you guys. She talks about her dream year, and that really is just taking each year, year by year, setting your goals for that year, and each year being totally unique from the other years. So this is essentially a questionnaire for you which I think a lot of times can be way easier for someone who is just now starting to do some goal setting for their business. Because a lot of times when you're just starting out or you've never done goal planning before, you don't even know what you should be asking yourself. So this is more of an interview style worksheet where you then are asking yourself these questions and filling it out. I would recommend filling it out one time through and then do some of the other sheets that I've included in this package, and then go back to this My Dream Year and fill it out again with fresh eyes. Because I think your first time through, you're not going to necessarily know exactly what to put in these slots for budgeting until you've gone through some of the other pages and realize what you're going to be spending your day doing. And it also goes into fitness and health, education, spiritual, giving back to your community. So it's got some things that are more holistic than just your real estate goals. Okay. And then she also has a project goals sheet where you may be filling one of these out for each one of your goals. Perhaps you have 5 goals this year that you want to implement. So this sheet is going to allow you to use one sheet here for each one of those goals and break it down. And one thing I like, y'all can tell my psychology major's coming out. One thing I like is at the bottom, she is, what's the worst result that could happen if you don't take action on these goals? And what's the best result that could happen if you take action on these goals? And I think that's important to look at. If you're looking at what the worst thing that can happen is going to be, that may be the kick in the pants you need to go do that uncomfortable thing. And these project goals, at least 2 of them should be something that is uncomfortable to you. Maybe that's joining, a actual real person group. Maybe you need to join an organization so that you're meeting more people, new faces. Maybe that's daunting to you. Maybe you're secretly an introvert. So if that's uncomfortable to you, make it a project goal and then work towards it. And then she has a year-end assessment page. And that year-end assessment page is just that. You're going to do that at the end of the year. And you're going to give yourself like a little report card as to whether you did these goals or not. And then the last sheet I have for you guys, and then we're going to open it up to some sharing and some questions, is just a sales goals worksheet. This is to break down truly how much money you want to make. How much money do you want to make in real estate, and what does that look like? How many listings will that be? How many sales will that be? How many buyers do you need to work in order to make the sales that you need to make X commission? Only you know how much money you want to actually make. And it should not be, well, I just want to make a lot of money. You need to decide, I want to make $80,000 this year. And now I'm going to break it down and figure out what that means. If the average sale price of a home is $275,000 ish, I don't remember the latest numbers on that. Walter, do you remember the latest numbers on that? What the average sale price is?
For last year, it was somewhere right around there. Yeah, 260-ish. I would say this though, not to dispute what you're saying.
Please.
But go back to what you did last year and figure out what your average sale price is.
That's a great idea.
You know, because a lot of those numbers can get skewed when a bunch of $1 million properties on Smith Mountain Lake get sold.
Yep.
And I can tell you, I mean, when I was in the foreclosure business, I sold 35 houses one year, which is a lot of houses. Mm-hmm. My average sale price was $74,000.
Yeah.
So I barely made, maybe 3 million in volume.
I remember when Daddy was a HUD listing agent for a year, a couple of years. Yep. And I always loved that their commission was 3% or at least $1,250.
Yeah, I got plenty of minimum 1250s, believe me.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny.
We sold the HUD house for $7,500 one time. But you can't buy a good car for $7,500.
Yep, I remember those days. Yep. So that is an excellent point, Walter. Go back and look at what your average sale price was. And just like any time, if you sold a whole lot of $150,000 houses and one $500,000 house, maybe delete the $500,000 house from your calculations, since that was an outlier, and figure out what your average sale price is. Take a look at that. Do you like where you are? Is that the market you want to be working in? Was the $500,000 house an absolute nightmare pain, and you realize you love first-time home buyers instead? Take a look at where you want to be working. What price point? What time in their life, like a first-time home buyer, would you like to be working with? You can actually work your career so that you're not just taking whatever business comes along, and you can actually market to try to fill a niche that exists in the market. And if you have any questions about that, please reach out to me and I'm happy to chat with you about that. And a lot of that comes down to farming and farming a certain area and your branding for that area. So chat with me about that if you have any questions. Who has anything to add or has any questions or anything they want to say?
I would say one thing about when you get all this stuff done, your goals, whatever you want to do, your daily tasks. I mean, all of that stuff goes hand in hand. I was in paid coaching for a couple of years, and I was paying almost $1,000 a month for somebody to tell me how to run my business. But it helped me to grow. And, one of the biggest things I got out of it is the more of these mundane things you do every day, the note cards, the text messaging, the follow-up, the just reaching out to that guy you sold the house or that woman you sold the house to last year and saying, hey, family, occupation, relation, dreams, recreation, not relation, I'm sorry. But just having those conversations, you're going to be doing things that no one else does. And eventually you will start making money like no one else does.
Correct.
And I'll hit you with one more stat and I'm going to shut up. There are 1.7 million members of the National Association of Realtors. over half of those people have not sold a home in the last 12 months.
Yep.
If you sell more than 25 houses a year, you are in the top 4.5% of realtors nationwide. So don't beat yourself up. Don't beat yourself up. Believe me, I have gone through some wicked slumps, but the bottom line is you keep plugging away, the universe will reward you.
Mhm.
There is no doubt about that.
That's right. And listen, I'm 18 years in, and last year I had one sale for the first 4 months of the year. You know, even I was kind of like, what is happening? But I've weathered enough years to understand that weird stuff happens like that. You know, deals fall apart. Your sphere of influence just isn't buying for those few months. Just stuff happens. So if you ever have concerns, don't ever be embarrassed or nervous to call somebody else. You know, everybody on this call right now, I swear, would be happy to get a phone call from you for you to go, something weird is going on. Can I just bounce a few things off of you? You know, agents are happy to help each other, not to mention for accountability. Anybody on this call, if you were to say, hey, I want to fill these forms out, and then can we bounce some ideas off of each other? Or can I check back in with you in 6 months and we have like a little 1 hour Zoom call and figure out if we've been good about what we said we were going to do? I'm sure they would say yes. Everybody wants to learn, and we learn better when we share. You know, that's why I'm so grateful you guys come on the calls and you participate and you know, put things in the chat window, and Walter shares, and, you know, we learn from each other. So please don't hesitate to reach out to each other as well. All right, we're going to do this one more time at 10 a.m. And Walter, I'm totally stealing your average sales price for yourself and putting that into my next class. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
All right, everybody, have a great day.